You have to understand there's two different sets of friends here. One, he's grown up with them all his life, and they traveled a little bit, but not as much as we have. And then my friends are used to me bouncing back and forth to different places. So they were like, okay, we'll see you down there then. That's great.
Welcome to the Retirement in Mexico podcast, your guide to a life of sun, sand, and possibility. If you've ever dreamed of spending your golden years under the warm Mexican sun, surrounded by breathtaking beaches, rich culture, and an exciting community, you're in the right place. We're here to guide you every step of the way with expert insights, inspiring stories, and everything you need to know to make your move with confidence. The best chapter of your life is yours to create. Let's do this.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Tiffany. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
No, thank you. So tell our viewers, where are you guys originally from and where in Mexico do you live now?
I'm originally from Winter Park, Florida.
And I grew up as a military brat, so I spent most of my childhood between Germany and the United States.
Okay. And so when did you guys move to Mexico?
At the very beginning of 2018.
18. So where in Mexico do you live now?
We live in the bedroom community of Querétaro. It's called Juriquilla.
Okay. You're in Querétaro?
Yes,
Yes.
Okay, wow. But that's a nice place.
Yeah, we like it quite a bit.
So how did you guys come about Querétaro and why not somewhere else in Mexico?
My grandmother moved to San Miguel de Allende in 1972, and she lived there for 20 years. And I would come down in the summers and visit her as a young boy. And so I had a good knowledge of colonial Mexico and had been here a bunch of times. And we had been looking around the world for a place to relocate to because Tiffany doesn't like to stay in the same place for very long. And we went through Asia and South America and Europe. And so right before the election in 2016, I told Tiffany that I wanted to take a look at colonial Mexico again. We had been going to Mexico City for weekend trips for a number of years to wine and dine. And so I said, Tiffany, let's really go check out colonial Mexico. And so we scheduled 2 trips in early 2017. We went over to Guanajuato City and San Miguel de Allende. And then we came over here and checked out the area, and we just decided with the combination of a large middle class, so there's not a lot of haves and have-nots here, and excellent healthcare and great grocery stores and many terrific restaurants and an international airport nearby. We thought it would be a great location to accommodate us.
And the weather was something else that we took into consideration. Since we are from Florida, we were kind of tired of having the heat and humidity 10 months out of the year. So we were looking for something a lot cooler, and we took a look at the mountains, and for the most part, it's usually 70 degrees on any given day. So there's just a few times of the year it may get a little bit hotter, a little bit colder, but it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I was in Querétaro. I think it was around August or September of 2018. And I remember the weather was really nice and some great restaurants, a lot of great restaurants over there.
Yes.
And it's pretty easy to get there too.
Yes, it is.
Lots of direct flights from Houston, Dallas, Chicago, Denver, Detroit and Atlanta. So,
okay.
And they're adding new flights a lot right now. So there's one from Los Angeles, and they're talking about one from Las Vegas soon.
Great. Well, there are more and more people talking about Querétaro. I mean, it was not on anyone's radar around 10 years ago, but now more and more people are discovering it. You know, it's a great place to be. I just remember it was very clean city, great restaurants. The weather was fantastic. The people were super nice. So when you guys decided to make the move, what was that like? Did you have to sell everything back in Florida? What was that transition like?
Pretty much. I mean, we brought down some irreplaceable kitchen items and some clothing, but we sold most of the stuff that we owned in the U.S. We had to do a lot of work in the house to get it ready to be listed and sold. And so it took us, I guess, from March of 2017, and we moved down on very beginning of 2018. So it took us about 9 months to disassemble 51 years of living in Florida and get ready to go.
So what did people think when you told them you're moving to Mexico?
Our families were supportive of it, and they didn't have any problems with it at all. Like friends that we had were of the belief that it's a horrible hellhole that is run by cartels and you'll be shot the moment you step off the airplane. But we quickly eliminated them from the friend category. So,
and you have to understand, there's two different sets of friends here. One, he's grown up with them all his life, and they traveled a little bit, but not as much as we have. And then my friends are used to me bouncing back and forth to different places. So they were like, okay, we'll see you down there then. That's great.
Well, they're used to you traveling all the time, right? You're the big adventurer.
Yes.
So when you guys moved down to Mexico, what did you bring with you? And what did you just kind of leave? Because I edited a lot. All that came down was with my clothes and my CDs, because we had CDs back then. But that was basically it. Did you guys bring down any furniture, or what did you bring down? What did you leave behind?
When we flew down, I had cutting boards and all of my cutlery. And what else did we have with us?
One frying pan, our clothes, and we had to go back to get our dog. And then what we shipped down was 42 boxes of kitchen stuff. Tom has a lot.
I like to cook.
He likes to cook.
I was going to say, you're the cook, huh?
Yeah, and then we had some other clothes and a few like knick-knacky type things like scuba gear.
And my CDs.
And CDs, yeah.
CDs too, huh? We're dating ourselves.
That's basically it. All of our furniture was sold in the U.S. and all of our appliances were sold in the U.S. And
we sold our cars, yes.
We've spoken with many expats in the U.S. who are very concerned about coming to Mexico and not being able to find a good automobile or not being able to find a reliable washing machine. And for some reason, they believe that the same brands that are sold in the United States are not sold in Mexico. But actually, your selection and your choices for things like appliances and cars are much larger here because we don't ban the importation of Chinese vehicles. Yeah. And we have, Samsung's manufactured here and LG's manufactured here. So there's a great selection of appliances as well. So we knew we didn't have to bring it with us.
Yeah.
So when you guys moved to Querétaro, were you guys renting first, or did you guys buy a house?
We did rent at first.
Okay.
We rented for the first year, and during that time, we found a lot that we wanted to buy and build our own house. So we rented the same house again for 2 years while our house was being built.
Okay. So, wow. So let me backtrack. So when you guys found your rental, did you have a rental agent, or did you do this on your own?
We used a realtor that we had met when we visited the city the first time, and he had actually shown us a neighborhood that we liked the amenities in quite a bit on the north end of the valley at a higher elevation where the air is clean and cool. And so we were sold on that neighborhood, and he got us a rental that was in the neighborhood right next to the neighborhood we would eventually buy in and build.
Okay. So were you renting a house or an apartment?
We were renting a house.
Yes.
Okay. Like, would you mind, people like to know like how much things cost. So I know we're going back to 2018. It was a while ago. Things were a lot cheaper back then, but could you share with us how many bedrooms was the house, what kind of amenities you had, and what the rent was like?
It was
back then?
3 bedrooms, 3 bath with a rooftop terrace and
small yard.
Yeah. And we were paying $450 US a month for rent.
Wow. How much do you think that place
in that same neighborhood now for about $550 is what it's going for now.
Yeah, $550 to $600. And we rented it unfurnished, and we bought all of our furniture when we got here.
That's pretty good. It hasn't gone up that much. 400 now it's like $550, $600. That's great. All right. So you bought a piece of land and you built. What was that like?
It was fantastic. One thing that many Americans don't understand about Mexico is there's a 30% capital gains tax when you sell a house. And a lot of people in our area are building houses on speculation and then relisting them for sale. And when you buy a house directly here, you're paying an upcharge of 30% because the person who's buying or building on speculation just goes and adds the 30% tax he's going to have to pay to the cost of the home, what he paid for the home. So you can skip that tax if you build the house yourself. And you also save a lot of money on closing costs. When you just pay for the land, when you close on the land, you only pay taxes on the land. But when you buy the house, you're paying taxes on the land and the house. Some places like Puerto Vallarta, I know there isn't land left for people to buy and build, or everything close to the beach is condominiums, so you have to buy the actual home. But in an area in the middle of the country where there's plenty of land on north, south, east, and west, you can just go a little bit further out and buy your own plot of land and get your dream home.
So how big was you bought the lot in 2020 or when?
Uh,
2019.
yeah, because we
2019.
because we moved in right as COVID was starting to begin.
How many square feet is the lot?
The lot's 160 square meters. So
Okay, so
little over
1,700,
1,600
1,800 square feet, more or less. Yeah. And would you mind sharing with us how much the lot cost?
The lot with closing costs, which we paid about $2,500 in tax for closing, was 35,000 US.
Wow. Okay. And it took how long to build your house?
It took about 9 months, and that's only because we didn't have all of the money in hand when we began the project. So I was having to work and throw money at the project every month in order to get it done. And I believe that the total cost of construction was about $125,000 for 230 square meters.
Okay. Well, that's a great size. That's around 2,500, 2,600 square feet for the house.
Yeah, it's
That's a
four
really great
bedrooms,
size.
4 baths, and
Rooftop terrace.
yeah, big
And
rooftop
living room.
garden. So
And are you happy with the quality of the construction and everything?
very
Yes,
very
yes,
happy
we
with
are.
it. Yes.
How was the builder? Was he reputable, showed on time?
Yeah, we used a Mexican contractor who's married to a German woman and who had worked in Europe designing government buildings in Europe. And he lives in our neighborhood. And yeah, he was very pleasant to work with and accommodated most of our requests. And we told him that we cared most about the bones of the house. So we wanted really solid construction, and he did a really good job.
So what would you say so you've been in Querétaro now for 7 years?
Almost
Since
8 years.
2018?
Yeah.
So how would you say your quality of life is now in Mexico, here in Querétaro, versus back at home?
All we did when we lived in the U.S. was work. We worked constantly. And Tiffany had a 2-hour commute back and forth to work every day. And, when my clients called me, I had to drop everything and go and provide them service. So we worked constantly. And here we work when we choose to work. So our quality of life is much higher here. The stress is much lower. Financial stress is much, much lower.
We have more time for each other and to do things with each other. So we really, really enjoy that.
So you live in a neighborhood called Hurikeya?
Hurrikia.
The bedroom community we live in is called Hurrikia.
Hurikeya. Mhm.
And we live in a gated community that's very large. It's partially constructed. We got in fairly early, and our house was like the second house built in one stage of the development. But we're up on top of a mountain, and the air is nice and clean and cool, and there's a lot of amenities in the neighborhood. And we're about 7 minutes from Hurrikia, where all the good grocery stores and restaurants are.
And I think I should point out that Querétaro is not, there aren't certain expat communities around the entire city. Expats just live everywhere. So even in our neighborhood here, we have maybe a handful of Americans and Canadians, but we also have Germans, Colombians, Argentinians, an Irish couple, and I believe 1 or 2 Asian couples as well, and a Russian lady. So it's very international in any community you would get in Querétaro.
Wow, that's quite the mix over there.
Yes.
So do you guys speak in Spanish? Do you speak to these other foreigners in English? How do you communicate?
We have functional Spanish. We don't have conversational Spanish where we can ask people about their grandkids and stuff like that. But we have functional Spanish, and we have friends that don't speak any English, and we're able to communicate with them.
And they invite us over for holidays and dinners all the time with their family. So even just walking through the neighborhood, most of the time I'm speaking Spanish to whoever I'm meeting on the street.
Taking the big leap and moving to a new country kind of scares people. They have a lot of fears and doubts. I mean, did you wrestle with any of these fears and doubts when you guys made the decision to move? And how did you overcome them?
I didn't have any fears or doubts at all. So, and we haven't even really studied Spanish. We just learned it through osmosis, through having Mexican friends and
Mexican TV.
Yeah, that's the best way.
Right.
So what would you say some of the biggest adjustments that you had to go through when you moved into your new city?
I think the biggest adjustment, and the adjustment that we had to make right away, was completely changing the way we drive. The Florida way of driving does not work in Mexico, and you can't be passive. You have to be aggressive. So we bought a car, and we rear-ended by a guy and totaled the car 2 days after we bought it.
Wow.
So I learned not to slow down and stop for people crossing the road, because if you do, somebody's going to plow into you. So that was the biggest thing. And then I think, getting used to the bureaucracy and the pace of life was also an adjustment. I mean, like, I'm a real type A guy, and go, go, go. And so I had to learn to just take a deep breath and relax and realize that, like, that's not the way things are done here.
Yeah.
And grow patience.
And,
Well, usually,
when
I'm sorry, what was that?
we've been through immigration and we had somebody help us, but they weren't that helpful. So it actually took us until we got to the third person to help us to get our cards without any problems. And then even opening a bank account, it doesn't take half an hour. For us, it took over 4 hours. Getting a car takes a lot longer than the 3.5 hours you would do in the United States. It takes about a week. So it's just getting used to how things are done.
Yeah, well, I've opened bank accounts that have taken sometimes a month to open for one reason or another with the paperwork and the bureaucracy. But, every country is different. So you can't expect Mexico to operate their banking system the same way as the States, the same as, in Germany, So, every country is different. You just have to go by their rules. That's basically it, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Something you pointed out, Tom, you said, things are done, the pace is done differently. And usually when you're moving to a beach resort town, the life is a lot slower. And places like LA, Mexico City, Guadalajara, it's a lot more fast-paced life. Where would you say Querétaro lies between those?
Well, I think it's definitely not like a beach pace, that's for sure. So I think it lies somewhere in between. And we've spent some time in Guadalajara, and I think that the pace of life is pretty identical to Guadalajara.
And the cost of living?
Cost of living is increasing more rapidly in this city than any place else in Mexico right now. So prices are going up dramatically, very quickly, especially in real estate. And but I'd still say that we're probably 30 to 40% lower than we were in Orlando, Florida.
Why would you say the prices are going up fast in Querétaro? A lot of people moving there, or what?
A lot of people are moving here. More people are moving here every day than any other market in the country. At least that's what I've read in Mexican media.
And it's not just Americans. Querétaro is the headquarters of more than 150 international businesses around the world. So this is their Latin American headquarters. Mm-hmm. So we have Dutch, Germans, French,
Korean, Japanese. Hitachi
yeah.
and Samsung have huge factories here. In fact, the Samsung factory is the biggest factory in the Americas. So the little bedroom community we live in of Hurakia, if you go out grocery shopping on Sunday morning, it's full of Korean housewives buying their groceries for the week.
Well, so then how is it to build relationships? You got this big international mix. So, how is it building relationships, getting to know your neighbors, being part of the local community and the expat community? What's that like?
We, our closest friends are all Mexican friends. We have some expat friends, but not a lot of expat friends. And because we didn't want to live in the main areas that expats live in. A lot of expats want to be in Centro because they don't want to have a car. And a lot of expats want to be in a very large neighborhood on the outskirts of the city that has security and all of the public areas are perfectly manicured, and because they've had bad experiences in the U.S. with crime or homelessness or things of that nature, so they want the complete opposite of what they had in the U.S. But we're kind of in an area where there's not a great deal of Americans, and so we made Mexican friends.
And also because there are so many international people here, we're all kind of in the same basket. We're not in our home country of what we know. And we all kind of lean on each other and want to get to know each other. Even the Mexicans here, a lot of them are from Mexico City. There's not that many that are actually from Querétaro that we've met.
What would you say is the one thing?
It's a place where people from other places come to. And largely because the crime is so low here and the job opportunities are so high.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What's the one thing you found to be difficult, like when you moved, but then you found it to be surprisingly easy? Sometimes people get like this cultural shock and then they realize, what, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was. And what's the one thing that kind of caught you off guard, would you say, that you weren't expecting?
Trying to think.
For me, I can't think of anything. You have everything here that you had in the States and more. And, in terms of like day-to-day life and going grocery shopping, the grocery stores are better here than they are in the U.S. Your selections are are much higher. And in dealing with people, sometimes you have to wait for a little bit, but that's about the only difference. You'll still get the same level of service when you're going in to get your car tuned up, or, any day-to-day activity, going shopping. I mean, everything's, people are friendly and helpful. And so, there wasn't any real culture shock for us when we moved here.
I can't think of anything. In the beginning, dealing with customer service for the internet or cable TV, I tried to do it myself and I wasn't really getting anywhere after a few hours. So I went down the street and I asked my neighbor who could help me. And she said the exact same thing to me that I'm saying to you, is that, customer service. Yeah, it's hard for us Mexicans. Give me the phone. Okay. So, and then she would take care of it. So, you learn how to do things by yourself, but you also learn where you need help. And I don't know, I think that's an important point to make. You don't have to do everything yourself when you move here.
Yeah.
We did, but the smart people are the people who enlist help. So,
yeah. Well, the culture here is very warm and inviting, and they're willing to help. I can't tell you how many times where when I first moved here, I didn't speak the language, and I had a lot of friends and neighbors that were willing to go with me to the phone company or to the electric company and help me solve, some problems that I was having with my lines. So, yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. They're more than willing to give you a helping hand, that's for sure. Now, you guys moved to Querétaro at a fairly young age. You guys aren't retired, so you guys were working remotely? What were you guys doing for work?
I owned a wine business in Orlando. So basically, during the Great Recession of 2008 to 2010, I made the move from brick and mortar store to email direct business, so that I would shoot out emails to my clients and they would place orders and I would drop the wine off on their doorstep. So it was very easy for me to travel, and we were traveling 2 or 3 months out of the year while running that business, and I just had somebody make the deliveries for me. And Tiffany was working for a variety of different companies in the U.S., and we thought that all of those revenue streams were going to continue when we moved to Mexico. But unfortunately, they did not continue. And a variety of reasons, we lost all of our revenue streams. And about that same time, we did a TV show about relocating to a foreign country. And that TV show had a bunch of people contacting us and asking us, like, can you tell us more about where you live? And it sounds terrific. I want to come visit. And can you show us the wineries that you go to, that are in the area? And so because of that, we sort of organically made the move into being a tour operator here, doing tours of the wine regions. There's a wine region in Guanajuato, and there's a wine region where we live, and we pick up people from both locations and take them out and show them the wineries.
Well, that's wonderful. So explain that to me. So how does that work? Are you guys just covering particular regions of Mexico or the whole country?
Yeah, we're covering two of the three central regions of Mexico. One of them is located just outside of San Miguel de Allende in the state of Guanajuato, and then we pick up from Querétaro as well and take people out to the wine region near the Pueblo Mágico of Bernal. And we know the wineries really well. I've been in the wine business for 40 years now, and Tiffany was in the wine business in the U.S. as well. And so, we're sort of part of the industry here locally, and we like to take people out and show off what we have to offer. There's also about 35 creameries in Querétaro, and so we do wine tours also where we can take people to creameries as well as wineries. So,
now, are these tours only in English, or do you offer them in English and Spanish?
They're all in English, yeah.
They're all in English.
But we've had people from all over Europe and Australia and New Zealand, and so it's not just for Americans. We have quite an international clientele as well.
Well, that's wonderful. And how long have you had this business?
4 years now.
Yeah. 4 years now. How was it setting up a business in Mexico? What was that process like?
It was fairly straightforward. It's just like the U.S. Really, you go and get an LLC and register the name of the business, and then hire an accountant and pay taxes, and it's very easy and very straightforward.
Well, that's wonderful. So, question for you: there are a lot of Americans and Canadians. Most of my clients are Americans and Canadians, and I think a lot of the people, most of the foreigners moving to Mexico, are from the States and Canada, and they're kind of pulled towards this new lifestyle that they want to move to Mexico, but for one reason or another, fear or doubt or the opinions of others hold them back. What do you have to say to them to help them kind of get off this fear track and pursue the life that they truly want to live and move to Mexico?
Well, I was 51 years old and working my tail off in the U.S., and every year it was getting more and more difficult to make ends meet in the U.S. This was 8 years ago. I mean, it's twice as bad now, but I was making $6,000, $8,000 a month and not even able to make ends meet with that much money coming in. And, Mexico to me made a lot of sense financially to begin with, but also, I could take the equity out of my house and own a house outright in Mexico rather than having a mortgage. And all of the things that you see in the U.S. Trying to stoke fear in any place that's abroad. Most of Mexico is a very safe place where families are just going about their everyday lives, trying to raise children and put food on the table. And most Mexicans are very, very decent, warm, caring people, the kind of friends you really want to have. So, I mean, I would quit bashing my head up against the wall in the United States, especially if I was close to retirement age, because, my parents had $5 million in savings when they retired, and it's all gone, and they're still alive. It's like you can't keep on living the American lifestyle and paying $20,000 or $30,000 a year for insurance, just for health insurance and homeowners insurance and car insurance. It's 20 to 30 grand a year just for that alone. Here in Mexico, we pay $200 or $400 a year for car insurance. That's the only insurance that we have. So, I mean, It's like, your money goes so much further here, especially if you're close to retirement. It's definitely a great place to be. But your money goes further in every country outside of the United States.
And as someone who has moved to many different countries and, have had to tell my friends each time I move, your friends are scared for you because this is something they would never, ever do. So they are going to be naysayers. They are going to say, oh, what about the crime? Oh, I heard about this happened and kidnaps and blah, blah, blah. They are going off of the fear mongering because one, they don't travel like, you do. And also they just don't know. If they don't come down here on a regular basis, they don't really know how things are. And for some of these people, you may not even want to tell them until, you're almost on the plane because that they're going to try to talk you out of it. And it's just because of their fear, not. Yeah,
it's something you're not brave enough to do.
No.
Yeah.
So they're going to try and badmouth it to you to try and talk you out of doing it.
Yeah. And sometimes, they may have good intentions, but sometimes their fear is not based on facts, right?
Exactly.
It's just based on whatever they're watching in mainstream media. And I think in the States, I'm a U.S. citizen. Whenever they would show Mexico, it's usually, cartel or kidnapping. They never show you the true beauty of Mexico. And I think, you could show parts of the United States that's, kidnappings and killings too. I mean, it's all over the world.
Every movie that Hollywood puts out portrays Mexico in a negative light.
Yes. Yeah.
There's never a story that's heartwarming and portrays Mexico in a positive light. That's not the way it is in real life.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if someone is listening and is dreaming about a new life in Mexico that someday, what's the first step you encourage them to take now?
Well, I mean, you should take a trip down here and, keep in mind that the climate is very different on the coast than it is in the interior of the country where, the higher the elevation, the cooler it is. So, what kind of weather are you looking for? That's something to consider. And then also take a trip and see how they like the demographics. But maybe plan to go to 3 or 4 different cities. Decide how large of a population you want to live in, whether you want to have a car or not, because, most places in Mexico, you do need a car to get around. And then, if they decide that they found a place that they like and that they're wanting to make the move, of course, the next thing to do is to go to a consulate in the United States, a Mexican consulate in the United States, and show them your financials and ask them what you qualify for in terms of a visa. Can you go direct to a permanent visa, or do you have to get a temporary residency visa first and then renew it every year for 4 years until you get permanent? So, knowing that you have the means to support yourself down here in the eyes of the Mexican government, that's an important first step. And also narrowing down the part of the country that you want to live in.
And definitely spend at least a week in each place so that you can, really go out, look at the neighborhood, see where you would be shopping for your groceries, take a look at the restaurants, the bakeries, just look at the stuff, not as a vacation, but how would this be included in your daily routine?
Right. I agree.
We know people that moved here and they're like, I don't want to have a car. I want to be in Centro. But then they have to go and buy toilet paper. And you don't want to buy toilet paper one roll at a time. You want to go to a warehouse store and buy a big thing of toilet paper and a big thing of paper towels, And
some people do buy toilet paper one roll at a time.
The older people who are over there who don't have cars, there's a line of them waiting to get taxis to go back with their groceries every day because they're having to take a taxi everywhere they go. And that gets old after a while, I think. Yeah. So, I mean, like the practicalities of everyday life, that's something you need to look at. And so Tiffany says, stay for a week. And I would really stay for a week and then go to a grocery store and see what it's like to buy groceries and, and how much are you going to buy at one time and how are you going to transport it home, and take all of those practicalities under advisement. So,
sure. And also look at the healthcare system, in that city, because, some people, you're a certain age, you've got a pre-existing conditions. You want to make sure that they've got the doctors and the medical facilities there to take care of you. God forbid you need to pay them a visit, right?
Yeah, like, San Miguel de Allende has clinics, but they don't really have a full functioning hospital that has all the equipment you're going to need if you have a blockage in your heart. And we live sort of in between San Miguel de Allende and downtown Querétaro. And we have medevac flights that fly over our neighborhood all the time from San Miguel. Somebody had a heart attack or somebody fell and broke their hip and they have to be transported by a helicopter over here to our level 1 trauma center to be treated. If you have concerns about your health, you definitely want to be in a city that's got good hospitals.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, Tom, Tiffany, thank you so very much for joining me today for the podcast. This was great. Querétaro has been on the map for about 10 years now, and more people are discovering it and moving there. And thank you so very much for sharing with us your journey, your story, and your business. Hey, if somebody wants to go on one of your wine tours, do you guys have a website? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can go to our website, which is heartofmexicowinetours.com. So we have the website. We also have a Facebook page and Instagram page. So you can contact us by any of those, and I'll respond right away. I will definitely respond. Great. So the website will list all of our tours, and then Facebook and Instagram have a way to send us messages.
Or if you wanted to come and check out our city and you wanted us to take you around, we could definitely do that as well.
Very kind of you. That's great. Well, we'll make sure to put your website and the notes of the podcast. Again, Tom, Tiffany, thank you so very much for joining us, and I hope to revisit you guys real soon.
Yeah, it was our pleasure.
Great. Thank you.
Take care. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Your retirement in Mexico starts right here, and we're excited to be part of your journey. Every episode, we bring you the magic of Mexico, insider tips, and expert advice to help you take that next big step with confidence. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It helps others like you discover the endless possibilities waiting south of the border. Got a topic you'd like for us to cover? We'd love to hear from you. Send your suggestions to info@TanielChemsian.com. And remember, a life well lived isn't left to chance. It's created with intention. See you next time.